You're listening to Krush Performance, your weekly source for sport performance and athletic development information. Get the Krush blogs, podcasts, and performance links at crushperformance.com.
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to Krush Performance 2025 as we head into our 19th season of Krush Performance. I want to welcome back all of the seasoned, long-time Crushers who have been following and listening to the show for the years, and I also want to welcome everybody who might be new to the show. The show is all about helping you become better prepared for whatever it is you're doing. In our world, the sporting world, we know that coaches are greatly limited in how much they can help their players because their players can't actually do what needs to be done, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally. But if you're going to attack a sport from a technical and tactical standpoint, you had better be prepared on all those other areas long before you look at achieving in sport. And that's kind of what the show is all about. And each year we try to dive into a particular theme. This year, the 2025 Krush theme is going to be perception. We talked a little bit about it last year with Dr. Martin Mrazek. He's going to be one of our guiding lights through this journey this year. But we're going to dedicate it a show every month, and we're going to have super series over the course of the year. They're going to look into the concept of perception. We're going to start that with today's show, I'll tell you that. And then, of course, along the way, we'll have all the regular Krush stuff. We'll be looking at the latest trends in research and human performance, from nutrition to neuroscience to physiology to actual technical, tactical, and we'll also be following some of the fun stories inside of sport. If you're a longtime Crusher, you know that at the start of each season, we try to make our predictions. We take a look at the interesting storylines in a sport, the teams we're watching, the coaches, the players we're watching, and why. And then we watch it all unfold and learn as much as we possibly can to take back to the table to guide our athletes in their performance. It's such a fun thing, and we do that for every single sport. Along the way, there's also breaking research. Like right now, for example, when we look at obesity and the Krush war on sugar, there's some very, very and interesting new research on artificial sweeteners, for example. We are going to be doing a deep dive because we know that is going to be an important story for human performance in sport. We know that 0-calorie, non-nutritive sweeteners and products are not conducive to sport performance. And yet we're being maybe tricked into thinking through marketing strategies that it might be the way to go. We're going to break that down, and that's the kind of thing that we do on the show if you're new to the show. Again, if you're a seasoned Crusher veteran, you know what we're all about, and you also know that we love your emails. Listen, if you have a topic, or if you have a question, or if you think you need help, write to us, info@jeffkershell.com. Listen, we don't just answer every single message we get, which we do. We take your thoughts and your questions and sometimes work them into the show. We've dedicated entire shows, segments of shows to your ideas because they're so great. And again, the one thing you guys know I'm all about is that collective approach to learning, right? I feel our job is to maybe get you guys thinking about things you haven't thought about before. Because again, when you're entrenched in this world of human high performance, you get exposure to all these cool people and these experts all over the world. But you also get to think about things and dive into things that honestly, I wouldn't be able to dive into had I be doing something different, right? Like, or if I was a coach, or even when I was an athlete, some of these things that we're researching and talking about on the show, how could they possibly enter my mind because I didn't know about them? So as much as we like to challenge you and get you thinking about things you might not be thinking about, I absolutely love getting your messages, whether it's on the social media platform, search out Jeff Krush or Krush Performance on all media platforms, the direct messages there, but also through the email. Okay, so if you do have a question, if you feel like you need help, or if you have a topic you want us to investigate, let us know, info@jeffgershell.com. All right, I don't want to blab on too much here because I am so excited to kick off 2025. At the start of every year, you know, I feel like it's a good time to sort of reset, reflect, look back to learn, look forward to plan, but let's get set to attack the future. I am going to challenge everybody here to stick with the show this year. Like every year, I believe we try to bring it, man. Like, we really try to bring in the best information for you so you can approach your performance and whatever you're doing in the best way possible. This year, I think is going to be really cool. Not exceptional, because I don't think we're going to lower or higher our standards because we shoot so high anyway. But I just feel that 2025 is going to be very, very special. One, because of the research that's coming out here on human performance in all aspects. But two, also because of our approach, this focus on perception. I do believe that it is going to be a nutcracker. It's going to be a key code to really unlocking human performance. Because in the past, again, for the seasoned crushers, you guys know what we've covered. But for people who are new to the show, over the past couple of years, for example, we started a few years back with a serious look at organizational and team performance. And you can go back and listen to those shows in the archives. Incredible stuff with incredible experts. We learned so much about team building, team approaches, but also how successful teams and organizations operate. And if you don't know that, trust me, you need to know it. And then we looked at talent and talent ID. And Dr. Joe Baker was one of our guides there through that whole world that is now very, very important in sport, from grassroots right up to the pros. Here's what we learned, okay? We learned that we really don't have a good grasp on what talent is. But we really learned that as humans, we are absolutely horrific at predicting future performance, right? So that was one of the big takeaways. But all the experts we talked to over the course of that season really shone a light on not just what talent is, but how do we go about tapping into and helping athletes and individuals raise their ceiling of talent, their ceiling of potential, but tap into it right now. Fascinating stuff, right? And then the Krush brain game. Well, Dr. Mrazek was a big part of that, but the brain game, looking at bio and neurofeedback and how the brain actually works, learns, and operates in our environments. And the fact that one of the messages I really wanted to share with you guys was the fact that, and the understanding that the body is just the tool that the brain uses to get the job done. It's kind of abstract thinking, right? And I can also tell you that our athletes, typically when they come to us, they're not thinking like this. And when it comes to problem solving or really helping an athlete succeed in sport, that kind of thinking can put athletes over the top. The brain is maybe the most, not maybe, it is without question the most incredible organism in our known universe. It is fascinating. And when it comes to what we know about the brain, I think collectively, if we were to ask all the experts we're connected to, they would say we're probably in kindergarten or maybe even preschool when it comes to our understanding of the brain, right? We have so much more to learn. But what we do know, let's know it very well. And that's what the brain game was all about. A fascinating year, a groundbreaking year for myself and our listeners in the quest to understand the brain game. And the Krush War on Sugar and all of our regular features that we do on the show and the new research has sort of brought us to this point in 2025 where I think we're kind of tying it all together. Perception, man. How does all of this now work together? First of all, what is perception? How does it work? How do we influence perception for ourselves and all of us, the others around us? How does environment change how we comprehend, learn, and respond to things? And how malleable is it? Well, in our brain game series, there's no end to learning as long as you're open to learning. So I think getting a big, solid understanding of perception might be one of the key things we've ever done on the show to help push human performance forward. And I can't wait to get started. So let's get started. I am so excited to once again introduce our very first guest of the year. For the 12th consecutive year in a row, we have kicked off the new year here on Krush Performance with our good friend, the zone coach, Jim Fannin. Here we go. All right, everybody, 2025 is off to a good start here, and there is absolutely, for us here at Crush Performance, no better way to start it off than with our good friend Jim Fannin, the zone coach. Jim, happy 2025, and thanks for coming on the show once again, my friend. So good to see you with this virtual world option.
Krush, Happy New Year. I am fired up about 2025. What can we accomplish in the next 365 days? I know a few days have peeled off, but boy, if you really put your mind to it, you narrow your focus, you have the confidence, you can accomplish so much in a year.
Yeah.
You can totally change your life. You can do that in less than a year, in 90 days. But we've got a special thing. I don't know if it's in Canada, but it's definitely in the US. It's called Quitter's Day. And this coming Friday is officially, at least in the US, National Quitter's Day. It's the day that people quit their New Year's resolutions, which is hysterical. And I'm like, come on, people, let's go. There's no quitting in life.
We're 10 days in. Let's go. We're in or we're out, right? Quitter's Day. I have not heard that before.
Yeah, official Quitter's Day. I
All
think
right.
it was second Friday in January. I'm like, who a quitter must have come up with that. I don't know who came up
Yeah,
with the Quitter's Day.
I think so. Well, I can tell you this today, ladies and gentlemen, there's no quitters here. Jim, you've been doing this a long time. And for everybody out there, 2025, this is the 19th season of Crush Performance and the 12th consecutive season. We've kicked our year off with Jim Fannin. So, Jim, there's no quit here. That's for sure.
No quit. I agree.
Awesome. Well, hey, I wanted to start off with this. You know, the new year, you and I have talked every year about this whole new opportunity. It's just this cool time that we've kind of come up with where we reset. But I wanted to throw this at you. Every year on the show, we have kind of a overlying theme where we dedicate a show each month or a series of shows over the course of the year. This year, it's an interesting one. All roads have kind of built up for this. You know, we had talent and talent ID, organizational and team performance. We've had a look at the brain game, for example. You were a big part of that. This year, we've looked at sort of a topic, Jim, that we found very interesting, but all powerful, not just in sport, but in human performance. And it's this concept of perception. We're going to try to unpack this, but the more I dig into it as an actual topic, the deeper I'm seeing that rabbit hole go. It's a monster, Jim, this whole concept of perception.
It is. Unfortunately, we do care what other people think about what we say and what we do and how well we do it or how well we don't do it. We care about that. I think that's the biggest challenge for a young athlete as they misplay a shot, they misplay whatever the sport they're in, and they look up into the sands to see the reaction to their mom and dad. They want to know, what's my parents' perception of what I just did? So it's not only my perception. I've got to deal with the perception of my dad, who's up in the stands with his arms crossed, you know, looking down like, seriously, you just did that? And I know the look. I've seen the look.
I've seen it too.
And it's there in every stand, in every arena, with every junior program in the world. It's there. But perception, that's a great word. Perception. Ask all my clients to have their perception from their narrow viewpoint. But I ask my clients when they want to make a decision, walk around it 360 and not only see from your point of view, which is your perception, but you need to look and see and feel from other participants' point of view. So you got to walk around things to make a decision 360 and understand what's their perception. How do they feel about it? And most of us don't do that. We're more concerned only about my perception, and I get locked in on what I feel, what I perceive.
Hey, you brought up a memory, Jim Fannin memory for me. And again, I don't know how many years back this goes, but this goes back a number of years. We were talking about something like this, and you had mentioned at that time, and I believe this is at least 7 years ago or more, Jim. But you just sparked that memory. You used the analogy of, hey, it's hard to see the picture when you're in the picture. So I think, and again, I might be off here a little bit, but in my mind, you say, hey, I said something like, hey, you got to take a couple steps back. And you're saying, you said something a little different, like, no, you have to step out of the picture in
You
order to see the picture. Kind of a similar.
you need to go to higher ground. I learned this at 4 or 5 years old. Up in the woods in Appalachia in southeastern Kentucky, my grandfather would take me on these wilderness walks. He initially would blindfold me,
Oh,
take me a mile out from our house, tell me count as high as you can when you can't count any higher, or if you think I've left, take the blindfold off and I'll see you back at the house. You're never lost. You just haven't found your way. You're never
oh,
lost. And I go, well, what do I do? And he said, that's a great question. The first thing you want to do is relax and look around 360 and see if there's anything familiar, anything. But you're not lost. So there's no panic. You just haven't found your way. And then I want you to go to higher ground. What does that mean? He was my grandfather, Papa, Cherokee Indian. So he would take me up on a rock or up on a hill. We'd get up above the tree line. And he said, now from a higher place, you can see over the trees and maybe you see some smoke. Well, people are there. Go to the smoke. They probably know your mom and dad and grandpa. They'll help you find your way home. From a higher perch, you can also see where the valley comes down, and people live in the valley. So you go down to the valley. You're never lost. You just haven't found your way. And I learned that day one at age 5. And I had a perception that I could go anywhere and do anything, and I'm okay. I'm never lost. And I've
what?
had that mindset for 70 years. I've had that mindset.
Well,
I'm
and
never
you say,
lost. I just haven't found my way. And
oh
so
my gosh.
go to higher ground, get a clear look, get a holistic look, and then make a decision. But the first thing you need to do is you need to relax, need to get grounded, lower your breathing, walk around at 360, see something familiar, and then you need to go to higher ground. And from there, you'll make a decision on finding your way back home. Now, I did this for about 8 years, from age 3 to 11. And he would take me into a cave, blindfolded, and I would have a candle and a match.
I
And
love it.
the same drill, you're not lost, but I could tell I was in a cave because I could feel it colder, and I could feel going down into a cave system. He said, when you take your blindfold off, don't do anything for a few seconds. Just get used to the darkness of the cave, and then light the match, light the candle, and wherever the wind blows, it's trying to get out of the cave too. Go where the wind blows.
Jim, this is like the earliest rendition of survival I've ever heard of. I
This
love it.
this is
I love
how
it.
my papa raised me, and he also raised me to be tough.
Yeah.
And he would say things in terms of perception. Just cause the bushes move don't mean nothing's in there. I go, what does that mean? He said, well, look over there. Do you see anything in that bush? No. He'd throw a rock into the bush and a squirrel would run out.
Sure.
I go, how do you know? How did you know it was in there? He said, well, I could see tracks going into the bush. Just because the bushes never move doesn't mean nothing's in there.
Mm.
Don't make these assumptions based on a false premise. Don't assume anything. The entire woods is alive.
Yeah.
It's alive. And at night, it comes totally alive. And of course, at night is when you can connect and make all your decisions. I said, what does that mean? When you go to sleep at night, right before you go to sleep, whatever you think, that's going to stay with you the whole night. Go to sleep thinking only what you want, Jimmy, never what you don't want. And so, this early training of managing my thoughts, managing my perception, uh, needless to say, it set me on a life quest to be the best I can be and help other people be the best that they can be. But at night, that's when your subconscious looks to make connectivity. So if I think something that I want before I go to sleep, that's going to be recorded, Jeff, and it's going to be replayed 15 to 20 times while I'm sleeping. And if I do this 5, 6, 7 days in a row, my subconscious now hunts to manifest whatever I want. It hunts for connectivity. Unfortunately, it'll hunt for bad things
Sure.
just as easy as good things. It'll help you find a soulmate. It'll help you find a trading partner, a business partner. It'll help you find whatever you need to connect you to whatever you want in your mind. So going to bed positive, waking up positive, seeing only what you want, that's going to program your subconscious mind to help you manifest it into its physical equivalent.
I love it, Jim. And that is something, that's a skill you can practice, right? So many people get into this critique negative mindset about troubles and troublesomes, right? Rather than really shifting that, but meaningfully shifting that into something positive. That's a skill I think that you can practice and develop, right?
So let's ask all your listeners and viewers, do you worry? Everybody raise your hand. Invisible. I want to see everybody. Do you worry? Well, most of us worry. I walked into Rice University and I'm talking to their baseball team, about 40 some guys. I said, if you worry, raise your hand. They almost broke their arms getting their hands up. I go, what do you worry about? My,
Right.
my, my mom and dad. What do you
Yeah.
worry about? Money. What do you worry about? Whether I'm going to get to play or not. What do you worry about? Academics. Jeff, then I go to a fourth grade class. If you worry, raise your hand, not believing that every kid raised their hand.
Oh,
What do you worry about? I think my grandfather's going to die. I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, that happens when you get older. What do you worry about? I think we're running out of money. I go, what do you mean? My parents always talk about we don't have enough money. And I'm
mm,
worried that we're going to run out of money. These are fourth graders, Jeff.
wow.
This is all stress runs downhill. It don't run uphill. I got fourth graders now under stress, college and at Rice University, top 10 academic university in the
Sure.
world. I mean, they're right there with the MITs and the Northwesterns. And worry is the killer. And I'm on a crash course right now with everybody. I'm on a rampage to help everybody get rid of worry. So, what is worry? Worry is when I get a text and I look at my phone and I say, I can't believe she would say that. Why would she say that to me? God dang it. Why would she? That's ridiculous. And then I may put my phone down, but then I may come back to it later and I replay it again. I replay it again. Something negative that came in by email, by text, on my phone. So worry is when you put a negative thought on a loop and replay it. Then you do something crazy. You take your awesome, awesome imagination and you sprinkle it on that replay like seasoning all over it. And now I project that worry into the future. And now I'm like, oh my God, I think she's going to go back with her ex. Or I'm now down a rabbit hole of assumption thinking. I'm
Mm.
biting that little piece of skin on the inside of my mouth, which I bite when I'm worried or anxious. My body now becomes stress laden. The constriction of all the muscles in my body, especially my jaw, those tighten up. Circulation is poor. And now I'm more susceptible for the flu that's everywhere,
Yep.
everywhere. But if you're thinking negative, you're more prone to get the flu and keep the flu. I'm helping a lot of people get rid of the flu, get back after shoulder surgery by thinking positive instead of thinking, I'm a victim of this cold, I'm a victim of the surgery. And that's worry just accelerates that. So the question for everybody watching and listening, can we get rid of worry by the end of this month?
Mm.
I know for sure you can do it in 7 days.
Wow.
Can you
Wow.
eliminate worry in 7 days? So, number one, we're all awake, we're not all aware. Think about what you think about. If you have a negative thought, it's okay. It happens to good people. We have negative thoughts, but you must be aware of that negative thought and refuse to replay a negative thought 2 or 3 times in a row. You have to catch yourself and be aware of that. Third, go to sleep thinking only what you want as opposed to what you don't want. I am worry free. Go to bed like that. I'm a positive, solution oriented human. Go to bed that person. Wake up that person. Frame your day. But now you're going to be more aware of your thoughts. Now we have 2 or 3 thousand thoughts a day. So, like a inspector, I got to go through all those thoughts and see which ones serve me well, and
Oh,
see
yeah.
which ones put a shackle on my leg and hobble me. And I've had athletes where the best athlete in the world couldn't touch him physically, but why isn't he winning? He's got this invisible shackle that's hobbled him almost like a pebble in the shoe. That seed of doubt. Yeah, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Where'd that come from? It come from my dad telling me I'm not good enough because
Sure.
you can be better. You can be better. No matter what I do, you can be better. You can be better. Come on, quitters never quit. That whole barrage of that kind of talk. Our parents love us. My dad loved me, but I saw him in the stands when I'm trying to hit a four-seam fastball. I saw how my dad was reacting when I
Yeah.
struck out with a ball about a foot over my head. He's not happy. And now I'm not happy.
Sure.
And if I keep replaying the negatives over and over again, instead of a warrior, I'm now a worrier.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You got to be a warrior. You got to attack what you want. You got to have your perception, but pull in other people's perception, because now you have reality right in front of you. So I'm excited about 2025. I'm on a rampage to stop worrying. We need to eliminate it. And I'm telling you right now, worry constricts the muscles.
Yeah.
And we wonder why we have inflammation everywhere. And this lack of circulation caused by stress on all the muscles originating in my jaw initially. Check your jaw, everybody. Push in. Is it sore? Is it sore on the right side? If it's sore on the right side, you're concerned about what's going to happen. Is it sore on the left side? Well, that's energy of you going into the past,
Mm,
concerned about it. Check yourself for this stress, because stress emanates in your mind, replaying negatives, and now it floods back into the body, constricts us, hobbles us, slows us down, and it does one more thing that's damaging. It causes us not to be decisive.
ooh, right.
We we procrastinate, we put things off, we get into the shoulda, coulda, woulda, we get into the talk of being a judge, judging anybody and everybody, even judging ourselves in a negative way. That's damaging. Or are you a victim of the condition you're in, or a victim of the circumstance you're in? So 2025, I want everybody to have a clean mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Jeff, you're going to have 3,000 thoughts today. Hopefully, we can eliminate maybe 1,000 of those. The best in the world at the peak of their performance in everything in their life, that true champion that's not just a great hockey player, but he's a great dad and a great husband. He's great with his own money. He's great with his being a son of his awesome parents who helped him get through the hockey ranks in junior hockey. Are you the best that you can be in every arena? And the true champion thinks 30, 40% less than everybody else.
Mm,
Less quantity of thoughts. Well, what do you eliminate? Every thought that doesn't serve you well. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Get rid of
sure.
those thoughts. I can't, I won't, I dread, I hate. Get those thoughts are going to tear you down. They're not going to build you up. You have free will, for goodness sakes. You got no excuse. Free will. I don't care what's happened to you. This is now. Own it, deal with it, and make a change.
Jim, I absolutely love it. So many great things there. First off, man, hey, you're not lost, everybody. If you feel like you're lost, and listen, Jim, a lot of people are caught in that victim, worrisome sort of loop, right? And they don't know how to get out. What a great analogy. I want those people to know they're not lost. We've had athletes, Jim, that are very, very big warriors. We all know the pressure of professional sports, but they get caught in that worry loop. And I think, like what you said, it leads to assumption thinking. That is a great, great term. But we do know, Jim, in our research that when we start cleaning that up and helping athletes cope with that stuff, not only does performance go up, but as you mentioned, risk of injury goes down. Here's the thing, those athletes, I don't know, Jim, and again, this probably maybe a human thing, without having some guidance or some help from somebody else, yourself, myself, a coach or friend, a mother, somebody with understanding, it's really, really hard to break that cycle. So I just love the idea of little things like, hey, you're not lost, right? You're not lost. Be a warrior, not a
Yeah,
warrior, but
you just haven't
understanding.
found your way. You're not lost. You just haven't found your way. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to empower people now to go seek out conversations like this so they can start cracking that code to move themselves forward, right?
Yeah, and self-awareness, that's a big deal. You need to
Part
think
of
about what,
perception, right?
yeah, you need to think about what you think about. You don't like how you feel? Change your thoughts. Every thought is kinetic energy that triggers through the synapse in your nervous system, triggers biochemistry changes. So I can have a sad thought, and now I've triggered serotonin dump to make me feel that sad. So every feeling that you have is the remnants of one or a collection of thoughts that you had. So you don't like feeling that way, change your behavior, but you must be aware of it. Don't accept it, don't wallow in it, and try harder. I see that. That's the solution for a lot of parents. Try harder.
Right.
You're a fan, and fans don't quit. You need to try harder. Then I realized try, T-R-Y. Well, the best in the world look like they're not trying.
Yeah.
They look they look effortless. Try, T-R-Y, to ruin yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
The best in the world don't ruin themselves by trying too hard. They get relaxed, they control their breathing. And that's one of the last things I want to really discuss. Your superpower, and I'm talking to all the people on YouTube right now watching this, your superpower is breathing. If you can keep your breath per minute under 10 breaths per minute, there's no chance you will worry.
Right.
There's no chance you're going to have frustration, impatience. Those contribute to worry. I'm not going to have jealousy. Once I start having those feelings, I can feel my chest tighten up. I can feel my breath. The average person has 15 to 70 breaths per minute.
Right.
You hit 20 breaths per minute, you're on the backside of peak performance. You're going downhill now. You're in
Right.
trouble. And that is a superpower. And you got to make up your mind, Jeff. Nobody on this planet is going to control my breathing. That includes my wife. I love her. We love our wives, but they can say something we don't like. They can mention something that tightens our chest. And I made in my mind, nobody, including my wife, is going to increase my breathing.
Oh,
That's
I
my
love it.
kids. That's a coach. But no situation is going to elevate it. Like a moment of truth on the playing field when the next move or non-move dictates who's going to win or who's going to lose. This is all about managing thoughts, which helps you control your breathing. And once you get control of your breathing and refuse to let breathing be elevated, now with a little blueprint tucked up under your arm, there's nothing you can't manifest. If you've got the potential to do it, I know with our SCORE system, and last year was the 50th anniversary of the SCORE system. I
All
discovered
right.
those 5 markers in 1974, 1975, an 18-month research with young kids on how to maximize super learning. I went through hundreds of parent seminars globally in Europe and in North America. And managing your thoughts is the key to being the best you can be.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, I've seen that score system. And again, when you and I met, when I was sort of spearheading the performance programs with the Blue Jays, you mentioned, you were working with Jose Cruz Jr., connected with Carlos Delgado, two of our, great position players at that time. And that score system, man, I actually saw it. That's where you and I connected, but I actually saw that change the modus operandi of some of the world's most elite players, people who you think have it all together. Man, there's so much untapped potential there, but that score system is all powerful. Hey, Jim, really quickly, man, this has been a great conversation. But for some of our viewers, we have got a lot of new viewers this year who might not have heard about the score system before. Can we just do a quick, maybe little recap? They go, and everybody, you can go to jimfannin.com and get
Yeah,
access to Jim's information for sure.
yeah.
But
And
can we do a little
also go to zonecoach.com. Also,
zonecoach.com is the other one that we have here. And that's where you can get the podcast as well. The Living in the Zone podcast is on that zonecoach.com as well. But
well,
hey, Jim,
here's what I found. I researched 100 world champions and I asked them one question: why are you great? What is different from you than your competitors? And it was the CEO of Fisher Price Toys. So it's not just athletes. Car salesmen set the world record, sold a car every 22 minutes. I
what?
went every 22 minutes. Joe Girard, I went and met him. I wanted to buy a car. I almost bought a car from the guy. He was so good. It was like, holy crap. I think I'm buying a car. And so I asked him the same question, but simultaneously I was researching 250 children we were researching, and I discovered that all humans have these 5 markers. And these 5 markers trigger natural chemistry in the body. The first marker is the toughest one, and that's self-discipline. Now, as parents, we struggle to help our 1-year-old be potty trained and learn how to dress themselves and get up on their own and go to sleep. That's self-discipline. It takes us a few years to develop that. But when you are really self-disciplined, you have a lot of cortisol, a stressor chemical that gets you moving. So when you have self-discipline, you have direction, you have a blueprint, you have vision and goals, and you have persistence on how to go there. The second marker I discovered was just the ability to focus energy, concentration. Well, when I'm locked in and only focused on one thing, and I've got my blinders on, I've got a high level of glycogen and oxytocin. It puts me in a tunnel vision. So you
Sure.
want, in certain times, writing a book at the end of a game on the 18th hole, you want to be able to narrow that focus and really send some tunnel vision energy. Concentration was the second marker. That can be high or low. The third marker is optimism. If you look at the word SCORE in your mind, S-C-O-R-E, O's literally in the middle of the word, but it's figuratively in the middle of the whole system. Optimism is the belief, expectancy, sense of knowing that you will execute tasks, you will reach your goals, and you are going to reach the vision. It's your belief system, and it's really a glue that holds everything together. And if it takes a hard blow, it can drop your self-discipline and your concentration with it. Optimism. That governs confidence, trust, that what I have is enough, belief, expectancy. But I'm seeing in 2025 a need for this fourth marker, relaxation, because I'm seeing breathing levels pushing 20 and beyond. And relaxation is keeping your breathing under control, and it's being comfortable, free from anxiety, worry, impatience, while you're executing tasks and chasing your goal, whatever it might be. How's your relaxation level? Are you relaxed? And then the last marker is not least. It's really the end product of the system. Enjoyment. You got to enjoy the journey. You even have to enjoy the challenges, the hardships. That's what makes people great. Enjoying whatever comes your way, even if it's tough. Enjoy the challenge. That's what pro athlete have to do.
Yeah.
They're going to a level that other people can't go because they don't know how, or they don't have the talent, or they just refuse to go there. A top athlete will get out of their comfort level and go to this top state. So when you get self-discipline, concentration, optimism, relaxation, enjoyment, simultaneously, each of those at a high level, your eyes will double shutter speed, your jaw will unhinge, your breathing will drop to 8 or 9 breaths a minute, your skin sensitivity is heightened, your conscious mind shuts down, and your subconscious takes over, intuitively guiding you. This is a zone state. I am a zone coach. Our company is called Zone Coach. We coach individuals and teams to get into a individual or collective zone state by helping you manage self-discipline, concentration, optimism, relaxation, and enjoyment in everything that you do. So I'm going to ask your audience, what do you need? If you could only order one of those things in your business, what would you order? Would you want more confidence or optimism? Do you want less anxiety? What do you want? Now let's change it. You're a parent, and each of your children have SCORE levels. What do you need to do to bolster their SCORE level? What is your oldest kid need? Oh, he needs more self-esteem. Yeah, let's
Mm.
work on his optimism. Oh, he needs more discipline. I'm going to get him to make his bed every morning, even though he's going to mess it up. Make your bed. Come on, get some discipline. So each of these life arenas may have a different part of SCORE that's needed, but you operating your life as a dad or a mom, a significant other, how's your SCORE level with your wife? Collectively, there's a self-discipline, concentration, optimism, relaxation, enjoyment of the entire marriage. What's the
Mm.
weakest link? Do you need a little more enjoyment, a little spice? I don't want to go down that road, but Jeff, maybe you need a little spice in your life. Maybe you need a little surprise. I don't know.
That's a conversation for another platform. But yeah,
It is. But we're all awake, Jeff, but we're not aware of our SCORE level. If I said you change your mindset, change your attitude, or change your SCORE level, you'll now realize they're all three the exact same question.
sure.
But how's your SCORE level now gets into 5 markers that you possess that's triggering chemicals to produce feelings and results for you. If you want positive feelings, better results, what's your weakest link and SCORE in this part of your life? Once you understand and identify my weak link, right off the bat, I've now crossed the barrier of the solution. Awareness is a part of the solution. And without awareness, there are no life decisions. There are no life solutions at all. So everybody has a SCORE level. How is it? Which marker do you need? And
Jim, this is a roadmap to problem solving. You know, we talk to all of our athletes and our athletes' families, and I always say one of the leading things, and I believe this is sort of, grown from our conversations over the many years, but one of the things that we really talk to them about is, above all else, success in sport and everything else, if there's one thing that I would wish for every athlete or family or team or organization I work with, it's that they could become master problem solvers so they can become great decision makers. This is a roadmap for problem solving, Jim. This is so powerful, man. I think we underestimate how powerful we can be when we get into this system or have a system to attack problems.
here's a nugget. The best in the world put down their problems and pick up the challenge.
Love it.
Eliminate the P word. If you come into our office, the P word is not spoken.
Yeah.
It's not, none of my coaches will use it. If my clients say the P word, I hang up.
The P word.
Yeah,
I
problem.
love it. That's
It,
awesome. That's
I,
so
don't,
great, man.
I felt bad even saying it. I want to wash my mouth out. But the best in the world look at these obstacles. You're challenging me? Yeah. You don't
Yes.
have a problem, you have a challenge. And the challenge inspires the inner athlete because we all have that inner athlete to compete to being our best. We've done that in grade school, we've done that in spelling bees, we've done that all of our lives. We're competitors. We get that immediately as we're in school. We're competing for grades, we're competing for attention. And the one thing we've done a very poor job of in Canada and the US and the rest of the world is educating our young children on how to manage their own thoughts. Because, Jeff, our kids are only as good as what they think and do when
Perception.
we're not there. When we're not there.
Right.
So we got to train our children to be world class decision makers. I got a 1-year-old granddaughter and a 6-year-old grandson. And I know in my heart, and this makes me sad, that one of them in 10 or 15 years may see a line of cocaine on a table. I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm not a fool to know that things doesn't exist in our
Right.
life, and it
Yeah.
does. But if your kid looks around to see who's doing it, you failed as a parent. They don't look around. Train your kids, make a decision. Grab your friend and take him with you. If he refuses to go, try one more time and then leave. We need to train world class decision makers in
Love it.
every facet of life, not just sports, not just academics, just on socially interacting with other people. And once we do that, wow, we're building a world class decision maker and an international citizen that can go anywhere in the world and be successful, whatever they want to do. 2025, I want this to be a year of doing it. Quit talking about it, quit reading about it, quit learning about it. It's time to do it and get a plan and make it happen. Roll up your sleeves, everybody. Look, I'm 75. Jeff's got his already rolled up.
They're rolled up, ready for business, man.
And I'm fired up at my age to be the best that I can be. I've got 1 year to do it. I'm doing it. Let's
All
go,
right, Jim.
everybody.
I love it. The challenge is on. Hey, man, that's the shot across the bow of Krush Performance and our audience, Jim. Hey, listen, this is why we love kicking off every new year with the zone coach, Jim Fannin, everybody. Listen, there's not a lot we can't do. I really believe there's not a lot we can't do if we can just break it down. But there's a guiding light here, Jim. This right here is going to go on my wall. I promise you this. Next time we do a video call, I'll show this. You're not lost. You just haven't found your way yet. Oh, Jim, powerful, powerful stuff. Thank you so much for this conversation and for kicking off 2025 with us, Jim.
My papa is looking down from a higher place, smiling right now, laughing right now. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Listen, Jeff, we will do a free 15-minute consult for all of your listeners. You can call our phone number or send an email to what we should ask Jim. Yeah, ask Jim at jimfannin.com.
Okay, you got it.
And you can go to zonecoach.com. Yeah, go to zonecoach.com to see the courses, see the podcast, and you can also do the consult there as well.
Yeah, there's a form there where you can request the consult there. All right, Jim, excellent. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, be careful what you wish for. The crushers are coming, man. There's going to be the tsunami of crushers coming to Jim Fannin, I hope. I really do hope. Take advantage of it, everybody.
You fire me up, Jeff. You really do. I always love being with you. I always leave in a higher spirit. It's contagious. Your SCORE level is very contagious. So I know you've got some big plans. I'm excited for you. I'm excited what you have in store for Canada. And we're looking forward to being somehow an integral part of that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me on the show.
You bet, Jim. Thank you so much. Happy New Year, and I can't wait to talk again.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Okay, there you go, everybody. Mr. Jim Fannin. Again, you can go to zonecoach.com and check out all of his great information and get the Living in the Zone podcast. Fascinating. Jim has been an absolute guiding light here on the show, but I met Jim 20-some years ago when I was the head strength and conditioning coach for the Toronto Blue Jays. He was working with some of our players, and I saw firsthand how powerful it is when the mind is being trained and guided and developed just like the body. And then I also saw, when those two worlds come together, some of the best players in the world take their performance to new heights. And it was fascinating. And I think you get that out of today's conversation. Man, there is so much to take away here. And I think you can understand why I'm so excited about 2025 here. This really does epitomize, I think, where we're at, but also where we're going this year in our series on perception, in just this year in Krush Performance. A couple things. I just can't tell you. Like, sometimes on the show, the guests are all fantastic. And, every guest has something that you just go, whoa, boom, takeaway. There's so much here. But the one thing, Jim, as a 4-year-old being left in the woods, in the backwoods of Kentucky, oh my gosh, that's fabulous. That just wouldn't happen today. And I think whether it's good or bad, I think we're missing some of that, especially with our youngsters, like teaching them that they're going to be okay, teaching them that they have to problem solve. This is one of the things we battle with our athletes. And again, we're getting our athletes at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years of age. And then we've got our pro athletes who've been through it. And again, this is one of the reasons I mentioned with Jim there earlier that I just don't believe we're seeing the heights of human performance. There are some special things going on. I mean, we can go in every sport and talk about S.C.O.R.E. and LeBron. We could talk about Serena Williams or Connor McDavid. You could look at Tom Brady or Mahomes, or we could look at Messi or Ronaldo. Every sport, golf, there's a F1, there's some cool things going on. Every sport, there's some cool things going on. But collectively, in every level of sport, I'm just telling you, we're not close to seeing the heights of human performance because this stuff isn't happening. It's not happening in the developmental timelines of athletes. When athletes get to professional sports or elite collegiate sports, those are the survivors typically of a very, very poor developmental system. Our developmental system is not great. And I think there's very few people who would argue with me on that. It is not great, period. And nobody can argue with me on that because that's just how it is. Again, it's not my opinion. That's just the way it is. And you guys who've listened to the show for many years, you've heard me say, if we really look at the landscape out there, we're probably destroying more talent than we're creating just because of the way the developmental model is going. And so I just think there's huge opportunities. And I'm not saying you have to blindfold your 4-year-olds and throw them into the woods, but what a great lesson. And Jim Fannin, there's no question why he is one of the absolute masters at what he does. He's grown up with that mindset, right? It's been entrenched in him from when he was a youngster, 4 years old. But just get this, and anybody can make an adjustment at any time. Don't get me wrong; it's never too late, right? And that's the whole conversation we just had with Jim. And going into 2025, listen to me. You're not lost, right? How powerful is that? You're not lost. You just haven't found your way yet. One of the things we always talk to our athletes about is overcoming hardships or adversity, right? Problem solving, like figuring things out and persevering, getting to the other side of it. And there's more than one way. There's no single way to get something done. We know that. But if we could, what we pride ourselves in our programs, in the Krush Performance programs, the athletes and organizations and teams we work with, I think if we were to, really talk about what we're most proud of, it's when we walk away. Yes, we hope that we've developed better athletes. No, I know we have. That's what we do. But we leave them with the power of really understanding how to become great decision makers. And that comes from problem solving and working through adversity, right? And figuring out the system of becoming great decision makers, as Jim said. It's just so great. You're not lost. You just haven't found your way yet. And those are powerful words inside of sport and outside of sport. But so many things, this whole thing about mindset and getting into these worry cycles, these worry loops, this assumption thinking that Jim mentioned. How about that? You guys have all been there. I have been there. When you leave a message or you walk away from a conversation and you don't hear from a person again, you're going, I wonder if that didn't go the way I thought it went? And you start assuming things. And again, breakdown in communication leads to assumptive thinking. And then that can lead to turbulent and troublesome thoughts, right? And worry. And I guess the big takeaway for me here with Jim is that SCORE system, of course, understanding that there are models out there that can really, really help you wade through the dark waters of adversity. But again, just keep in mind, you're not lost. You just have to find the way that works for you. And that's what we're here for. Like, that's what we do for our athletes. I think one of the big takeaways for me is just that whole conversation about breathing. And we've talked about breathing on the show before. We're going to have some unbelievable shows with some of the world's top experts on breathing and sleeping coming up here in Crush Performance in 2025. Sleep, of course, being our number one priority. But when it comes to the Crush Brain game, right, our fifth priority, which is kind of that rover in our hierarchy of athlete development, in that brain game, breathing is one of the powerful tools to controlling emotion and your attitude and your perspective on things, right? It is the switch, and you can actually adjust and control your physiology through your breathing. We'll show you how to do that later in the story. But one of the things that Jim said that I think could maybe be one of our main takeaways as we start off and kick off our approach to 2025 here is no one can affect you if you control your breathing. If you let somebody affect your breathing, okay, they've gotten in. All right. And just so you know, they can't affect you unless you allow them. And we've heard that before on the show, right? Nobody can affect you if you don't allow it to happen. Or the other way to look at it, other people can only affect you if you allow it to happen. And one of the ways to put up that force field is just breathe and work through the adversity, whatever it is. And that's human, right? That's teamwork. That's working with other people. And so I love that idea. So that breathing part, all of this coming up. Listen, I can't tell you how excited I am to kick off 2025 here with our theme of perception. Again, we'll be dedicating pretty much a show every month, and we're going to have a couple super series over the course of the year where we might string 3 or 4 shows in a row that are really focused on our topic. But we're going to have all the other great Crush stuff going on. We are going to be talking about sleep. We're going to be talking about breathing. We're going to be talking about movement, rest and recovery strategies. We're going to be talking about nutrition. The Crush war on sugar rages on with some of the new research on artificial sweeteners, but also the concerns about human health. And leave alone sport performance, but the impact of diet and this new diet that's out there, our new food supply system out there, the way we eat is affecting not just our health, but most certainly our sport performance. And it's all within our control. We're going to talk more with some of the world's top experts on that. But for now, here we go. 2025. Got to thank Jim Fannin for joining us today. Just a great way to kick off the new year here on Crush Performance. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you have questions, comments, or smart remarks, get to me, info@jeffkrushell.com. We answer every single message we get. All right, everybody? All right, here we go. 2025, everyone. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next time right here on Crush Performance.